All right, we are going to start. Good morning, everyone, or if you're listening to the playback, howdy doody at whatever time of the day you're watching it. Today, I want to go through 3006, which is provide effective client service. And I just want to talk to you about this unit, and I want to talk to you about the outcomes that are going to be expected from this unit. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to have a quick look over here. I'm going to grab my books out. Now, when you're studying a unit, you need your learner guide out at all times. So you go straight to provide effective client service. Now, one of the first things to notice in the definitions of who is a client is the fact that a employee is a client, you're a client, the company is your client, and you're their client and they're your client. The people that you work alongside are your customers and your clients, your suppliers. Absolutely everybody is a client. So basically that means is, what that means is that we treat everybody with a very high standard, which can be very difficult because some people are just difficult. Jerks, mean, horrible, we don't click with them, they say horrible things to us, and we retaliate. So what this unit is about negotiation and conflict resolution when it comes to customers. Lots of students say to me, I don't want to work with customers. I want to go into cleaning so I don't have to deal with people. The whole world deals with people, and there really is very few jobs where people are not a factor. So I just want to take you through, again, every time we do a unit, we talk about concept, content, continue to questions. When we open the table of contents for this particular unit, we have got identify and confirm client needs. It says here, greeting the client, that first impression counts. How we treat the client when we see them, whether we're at the computer and we look up, we're like, oh. See the body language. At the computer, good morning, I won't be a second, and off you go. How annoying is it when you walk into a shop and you're quite clearly there and nobody sort of says, oh, g'day, how you going? I won't be a second. So from the moment that you see a client, from the moment that you're talking to them, you're making an impression. So it's how to greet them, how to acquire the information and when to acquire the information to do your job. It also talks about client requests and your personal limitations. And these aren't personal limitations in a bad way. These are knowing when to say no, knowing when to escalate to a supervisor. So for example, a workmate comes to you and it's 5 to 5 and you finish at 5 o'clock. Staff member comes to you at 5 to 5 and you finish at 5 o'clock and they have a 20-minute job for you. I'm really sorry, I can't do that job for you. My shift finishes in 5 minutes. I just don't have the time. That's a time limitation. There's authority limitations. Excuse me, I need a refund for this, but I don't have my receipt. I'm really sorry, I'm going to have to ask my supervisor about that. So there's lots of different limitations that can stop you from giving the customer what they want at that very moment. So how to handle that, how to talk to them and sort of say, look, I'm really sorry, I can't authorize that. That's the dog sniffing around the background because she's supposed to be in her bed. So confirming agreed product and services. So the client can come to you and say, I want this in this amount of time. And in their mind, they're getting it tomorrow. And in your mind, you've got to order it in. So you both think very different things are happening. So how to confirm with them, whether that should be via email. So there's lots of email writing and a lot of problem solving in this unit and a lot of pretending that you're at work. So throughout all of these activities, if it says in your current workplace or in a previous workplace, what you need to do there is imagine a workplace you feel comfortable talking about. And it could be that you go to McDonald's a lot or you go to JobLink. Even you're a customer of JobLink. They're there, and you're their customer, and they're a customer of Centrelink. You're a customer of Centrelink. So you can use these environments to say, you know, I've actually not worked before, but I have received really good customer service this one time. But I've also received, I've had my JobLink person tell me that they can't help me because of a limitation, a time or an authority limitation. So how to confirm the agreed product and services, you know, how to go back to brochures, why we present ourselves well when we're talking to a customer, product and services, features and benefits. Now I'll stop it during this. I'll go through this in the unit a little bit more, but basically the feature is the thing and the benefit is what it does. So for example, I love using this example. A feature of my phone case, so there's my phone case. A feature of my phone case is that it stores all of my cards. That's the feature, the storage. The benefit is I don't have to carry a handbag. So that's the benefit to me. So the benefit is what's in it for me. That's great that that TV has a huge screen. Good for you, TV. But what does it do for me? What's the benefit for me, the customer? So when you're thinking about features, feature is what it does or what it has. The benefit is what it does for me as an individual. Okay, so one of the features of a good cleaning business would be all the cleaners are trained to a high standard. The benefit to the customer is that they have peace of mind. So when you're doing flyers and leaflets up for your customers, or in this unit that you're doing, it's important to remember that the client doesn't know this stuff. They're depending on you to tell them, and it sells the product, but it puts them at ease and tells them exactly what they're getting. So as we go through this unit more, it talks about delivering the product or service to the client. And then it goes through various human resources that are required to confirm details with the client. And the reason why we confirm the details with the client, okay, it's for numerous reasons, but primarily it's so you know what to do on the job. You've got all the job requirements there in front of you. And in addition to knowing what you're doing on the job, it also gives you a reference point if something goes wrong. And the client says, no, you said you would be here for 5 hours. No, we said approximately 5 hours. Okay, so we were here for 4.5. It didn't take 5 hours. Calm your farm. So it really is, when it comes to safety stuff too, we put it in writing because it's the law. We have to put it in writing. And then it goes through to responding to client feedback. This is really tough. During this unit, you're asked to identify your own strengths and weaknesses. And one of those reasons is it's really hard to take criticism and feedback when you have busted your butt to do a particular job. So when it comes to customer service and when it comes to dealing with the other people that you work with, one of the most common downfalls I see in cleaners is their inability to know within themselves what they're good at and what they're not good at and be at peace with it, and not get involved in the office politics or the workplace politics or, you know, so-and-so didn't do the floors last night. Obviously, the PM shift is, you know, up the boss's butt and things like that, really common. So when you know your own strengths and weaknesses and you can articulate them and you can share them, you almost take the bullets away from somebody else in the regards of they can't then fire at you when you're well aware of what you do and don't do well. And then it's about playing to our strengths and doing things we're good at and working on our weaknesses, and being able to take feedback from a customer without responding and retaliating and reacting. We don't want to react. So when they come and they say, listen, you know, the floor was missed last night, we're not very impressed. Thank you so much for the feedback. I'll go and rectify that. Could you please pop that in the communication book so that my boss is aware that the night shift did miss that? Rather than being like, well, I wasn't on last night. I didn't do the floor. I mean, I'll fix it for you, but it's not really my fault, is it? Sorry, I have terrible hay fever today. So I really want you to explore the table of contents in these books. And the reason being is it gives you an idea of the concept. And the concept here is not just customer service, it's how you behave to all of the people that you work with, including suppliers and people like that. So as you're going through the book, you know that it gives you the content, you read through the content, and then you stop on the question. Now, in the flow of questions and in the flow of assessments, what happens is they get harder as they go along. So I'm just going to type in the chat box right now that the activities booklet is straight from the content. Okay. So every single one of these answers, every single one of these questions has the answer page reference in the bracket next to it. So this one says 1A E 1.1. That means you can find it in 1.1 in the booklet. How good is that? That is super helpful. So one of the ones that I have troubles with in this unit is give 3 examples of common client requests in your organization or typical of a cleaning company. So what sort of requests would be typical of a cleaning company? And they're in the book. So it sort of says, you know, what they're going to expect. What different types of questions are used to gain information? And it says here 1.2, and it basically tells you that there are open questions, closed questions, specific questions, and prompts. Now, in this answer, you want to say an open question produces a wide range of answers. You don't just want to do the shortest answer possible. Whenever it asks you to list things or provide 3 reasons why, and in the book it gives you those 3 reasons why, you can copy and paste that content over, because a lot of it is very difficult to put in your own words. So don't worry too much about, you know, your own words in things. It says, give a time when you had a personal limitation that prevented you from meeting client needs, activity 1C. Now, you might not have worked before, but as a customer, you know that the personal limitations, which is lack of time, lack of resources, lack of knowledge, and lack of authority, you've experienced those at some point in time as a customer. Simple as that. Whether it's been the fact that someone hasn't had the time to spend with you, that they haven't been able to give you a refund because they're not the manager, they are definitely valid answers to 1C. Give 3 examples of people you can get assistance from. That is also in your booklet. Now, 2A is design a sales brochure. Now, I'm going to tell you the easiest way to design this sales brochure is to get a piece of blank paper, fold it in 3, just like you would if you got a sales brochure out of the letterbox. Okay, so easy. Now, on the front page, you're going to write Fifi's cleaning service, or whatever your fake cleaning service is, your opening hours, and probably your phone number. Pretend phone number is fine. When you open it up, you want to put your features and benefits here. What do we do and what does it mean to you? Then in the middle, you want to put the contact details, whether you're at a shop, whether you're mobile, things like that. You've got your hourly rate and your contact details in here. You might say, introducing Fifi's cleaning service, your local, fully insured, trusted cleaning service. We clean homes. Some of the features of our home cleaning service is da-da-da-da-da. A package for everyone so that you have peace of mind knowing that we can fit inside your budget. Feature, benefit. Once you've done that, and some people have done it inside the square that is on the page, it just has been a bit more difficult for them and it looks cramped. But as long as all that information is on your leaflet, that is a pass. That's no problem at all. Just staple it to that page and off you go. Some people find it really hard to pretend and do a fake cleaning service. So what you could do is just Google Dubbo cleaning service or Moree cleaning service or whatnot. See if one of them has a price list on Facebook. These assessments aren't meant to be difficult, and if you're finding them a bit scary or a bit difficult, you can do an adjusted version. I will never reject work that ticks all the boxes. So you could get someone else's sales brochure, but what this is asking you to do is basically be able to communicate with a client. That's what it's asking you to do. Okay, it's asking you to be able to put something on paper and give it to a customer, which, you know, you're probably not going to start your own business off the back of this course. However, if a client comes in and says, oh, excuse me, you know, Joe, what time are you guys open? What time are you usually here? I'm just thinking about getting a lawn mowing guy and I don't want to, you know, have him here at the same time as you guys. Oh, yeah, no worries, Mr. Smith. We're usually here on these days, these times, da, da, da. And do you guys do pressure cleaning? Because I'd be really keen to get you in after the lawn mowing guy. Oh, yeah, we do. There it is on our leaflet. So that's sort of what that's about. Explain what your organisation's workplace tidiness standards and dress code are. If you're not currently working, what dress code would you put in place for your own business? Okay, so think about a job interview you maybe went to, or somewhere you went, you know, maybe you went for a job interview at McDonald's. They have a really strict uniform policy. You can't wear anything else. You're not actually allowed to wear your uniform out in public. You've got to wear a jumper over the top. So have a talk about why those dress codes are in place. You know, you could introduce this question with, all organisations have a dress code. I have not worked before. However, I was recently at McDonald's and I noticed this, that trainees had a name badge on that said trainee, so we could identify them and make allowances for them. All right, so write a short email. This is question 2B in the activities booklet. Write a short email explaining 3 features and 3 benefits of one of your organisation's products to a service, to a client, product or service to a client. If you're not currently working, write the email as if it's from your own business. Now, what I suggest you do here is use the leaflet you just wrote. Okay, pick a service, spring clean or deep clean or pressure clean. Thank you, Mr. Smith, for calling about our pressure cleaning service. Some of the features of our pressure cleaning service are, we take away all the debris and rubbish, leaving your property well presented. See, feature, benefit to the customer. We take online payments, so don't worry about handling cash on the day. We have fully trained staff for your peace of mind. Feature, benefit. Thank you so much for giving us a call. If you'd like to book in the clean, please email me back. Kind regards, Fiona. So you can email the client as if it's in your own words and this is your business. And you're selling those features and benefits. You might be a car detailer. So different features and benefits for the kind of work that you do. 2C, what are the different ways to respond to client requests for information if you do not know? This is found in 2.3. So it does guide you to where the question and the answer is. So it basically says that what are the different ways to respond to client requests if you don't know? It says here, if you do not know the information, you can do some research. And it goes on to say you can do research inside your business. But the ways to respond would be, I don't have that information for you at the moment. I'm going to go find out. Go to your supervisor, go to product websites possibly, and come back to the customer with the information. Someone in your organisation may have the information, or you may even be able to call the supplier and say, I've got, you know, Mr. Smith here and he's just asking a question about this particular television. Now, in the next booklet, I really like you to use a television as an example. It makes it very easy to find the information online. Activity 2D, what details are included in a client's service agreement, and give an example of each. Okay, so it's asking you to give them what's in the service and then an example of what that actually means to you. Preferably a cleaning, like a cleaning example. So some of the agreements here says that they can include things like cost, timelines, right of the client, and extra. So when it comes to the to the cost. How much will they pay? Do they pay a deposit and balance? What's the terms and conditions? What happens if they pay and they're not happy or the job's not finished? What's your refund policy? So I want you to clearly give those examples. And, you can think of others in this one. A client agreement may even include date and signature, may include a refund policy, could include safety. I see a lot of agreements where we're coming to do this cleaning job, but if your property isn't safe, that's on you. That's on the customer, and the company isn't required to make your property safe. We're required to be safe while on the site. So there might be safety guidelines at the bottom of that. For a specific product or service your organisation provides, list the human resources involved. So there could be a storeman that needs to pack the kits. There could be a warehouse person, a delivery driver. Doing a pressure cleaning job, you might not send the girls out to do the pressure cleaning job. You might have a couple of guys that specialise in that. So you've got to coordinate with the person that does the rosters, the person that does the admin, and the client. Now, we do a lot of work here in Newcastle for the council, and there's the council owns the building, or council's responsible for the outside of the building but not the inside the building. So we quite often have to talk to whoever rents the shop, and we have to get traffic controllers in to sometimes do the job as well. It can be very difficult. Explain what information you would need to brief each person delivering the product or service on. So again, this is information that's in your booklet under 3.2. So I'm going to 3.2. You're not expected to remember all this. I can't remember it all, and I look at it every day. I think I know the answer, but I always like to go back and refer to my learner guide. In the next sets of questions, in the UPK underpinning knowledge test and the skills assessment, they don't tell you where to find the answer. So you need to understand this stuff. And if you're not comprehending it, read it again, read it out loud. I get a lot of people who are like, oh, I've read it 10 times and don't understand it. I'm like, really? I actually don't think you have read it 10 times, because if you had, and out loud with an energy that showed interest, you would get it. It's really easy content. It's the questions that kind of test that content. So here it basically says what details are involved. And it says, explain what you'd need to do to brief each person. Now it says you need to explain to them what the client requires, the aspect of the agreement that's in place, and what resources, timeframes, resources that they get, timeframes, special handling, access to the property. They're all things you'd need to explain to someone delivering that service for you. In the cleaning business, the real things that you want to know is, how do I get into the property? Who do I talk to when I'm there? And is there anything special I need to understand? Do I need to block the property off or whatnot? Okay, so that brings us almost to the end of the booklet. So we've got, give an example of a time a client requested a product or service outside the agreement and how you responded to it. Again, if you haven't worked for a while, or some of that's a little new to you, what I suggest you do there is just use the TV example. Okay, I worked for Harvey Norman for a little while, or I'm using an example from Harvey Norman. A gentleman bought a television. He wanted it delivered in this amount of time. He then rang up and needed it urgently. We had to call the warehouse. We had to call all these different people. We had to then email them back and let them know there was a rush on the job. There would be an additional fee. He had to sign a new delivery docket. So basically you can create a scenario there where you've experienced good customer service when you've requested something outside of the ordinary. So, that's a good example of creating / making up a example. Explain how you record client feedback in your organisation, or one that you've researched. You can use Harvey Norman and the TV. A bit of a Google says that client feedback is received on various websites. They also log it internally so that they can bring it up at staff meetings, and they include it in their customer service training. What are the organisation's customer standards for responding to feedback? Now, in this answer, for A, question 2, if you don't have an organisation, you might actually ask the person at JobLink. What do you guys do responding to feedback from customers or from Centrelink or from whoever? Do you log it in a spreadsheet? Do you have a program for it? And again, create what you would have for your own business. I'd like to think if I was running my business again, that we logged the feedback and looked for trends and then let our staff know during their training what sort of things customers don't like. So again, this last section is all around a pretend business. So I would run with either the cleaning business that you did the leaflet and flyer for, or the TV with Harvey Norman. For one piece of feedback, your organisation or an organisation you've researched has had identified 2 possible improvements. Okay, so just jump onto Google and see what the last 2 nasty reviews were for Harvey Norman and use those. Which personnel would you discuss these opportunities with? So, for example, one of the feedback I saw online the other day for Harvey Norman was that someone had ordered some coffee pods, and the coffee pods had come through after Corona. Well, we're still in Corona, but during Corona, and the coffee pods were out of date by the time they got there, and they wouldn't refund them. So there'd be numerous people you'd have to talk to about that, especially the storemen, who probably have pallets and pallets and pallets of these things sitting there going out of date. So you'd have to talk to your supervisor and say, hey, listen, I think we should give this lady a refund. She's paid for pods that come out of date. The other thing is too, is that then quite possibly you might have to say, okay, if you're a bit further up the chain, why are we getting coffee pods that go out of date in 6 months? Like if I buy coffee pods in bulk, sometimes they sit in the cupboard for 3 or 6 months. I don't want them to go off that quickly. That's a product fault. That's not good. So there's lots of things that you could do there. How does your organisation communicate improvements to products or services? They don't often do that, but they might respond to the customer via email. They might post it on their webpage, or they might have like an annual report that comes out. So do a bit of research, check that out, and then pop some examples in there. And that is the activities booklet finished. So I'm going to stop this recording, and I'm going to start a new recording on the UPK.